Hi everyone, welcome to the channel, and today I will be counting down the top 10 singles in Parallel Universe 1. At number 10 it's Chris Wilson and Sympathy for the Devil, which came out on the Sympathy for the Record Industry label. And it's almost a Flamin' Groovies reunion, but without Cyril Jordan and George Alexander, as Chris Wilson's joined by Mike Wilhelm, Danny Meme and James Ferrell. It's nothing to get too excited about though, as Chris Wilson's vocals are quite ragged. It's got a nice Bo Diddley-esque guitar riff on the A side, and the B side is a James Ferrell track which is acoustic based. At number 9 it's the Electric Ferrets and Arnold Ziffel, and this also came out on Sympathy for the Record Industry. And Arnold Ziffel starts off like Arnold Lane and quickly speeds up, and I can only really describe it as like a spoof punk rock song. There's 4 tracks in total. By far the most powerful is the track Little Town, and the band's picking up airplay in the Parallel Universe. They've got a brand new double LP out, and they're touring on the West Coast quite regular at the moment. Up at number 8 it's the Surfer Delix and Too Good to Be True, and this came out on the Armchair Records label. The A side, which is called Too Good to Be True, has a harmonica and organ deep in the mix, which gives it quite an authentic 1965 R&B feel, even though it was recorded in the UK in the early 80s. At number 7 in the charts we have The New Hearts and Plain Jane, and they were a UK power pop band led by Ian Payne on vocals and Dave Cairns on guitar. These two relaunched the band as Secret Affair the year later as mod revivalists, led by Ian Payne, who changed his name to Ian Page, and Dave Cairns. The A side has a guitar refrain which is very clearly nicked from the Monkees. The echoey vocals are almost like 1950s rock and roll. It's produced by Martin Gordon of the Radio Stars, and Ian Page and Dave Cairns are still touring as Secret Affair in 2022. At number 6 in the charts we have Urge Overkill and Now That's the Barclords, which came out on Sub Pop. If I can get that in close, you'll see that it was part of the Sub Pop Singles Club, and it came out in May 1991, and it's also on yellow vinyl. This single features some nice modish choppy guitars, and they recorded this just prior to signing to Geffen Records. And moving on, we come to number 5 in the top 10 countdown, and it's John's Children and Come and Play With Me in the Garden, backed with Sara Crazy Child. This is a reissue on the international label, which I can show you that. It's spoilt very much by atrocious production, but both songs have real potential, and the B-side, Sara Crazy Child, is a Mark Bolan song. I'm not quite sure if he actually appears on the track or not, and the sleeve is a reproduction of the original single, which came out just in Germany in 1967. And number 4 in the top 10, it's another record with a Flamin' Groovies connection. It's the Hot Knives and Lovin' You, and on the B-side Around the World. Even though it was made in the mid-70s, the A-side has a very laid-back late 60s San Francisco feel to it, due in part to the dual male and female vocals. There's a hint of La Bamba in the A-side Lovin' You. The B-side Around the World is way better. It's incredibly catchy, a song that you think you've heard before and think it's a cover version, but it's not, and it certainly deserves to be covered by a band even today, and I think could chart if it was well recorded, well produced. Danny Mee makes his second appearance in the top 10 as he is the drummer in this band. He's also joined by another ex-Flaming Groovy, Tim Lynch, and the production duties are by the one and only Cyril Jordan, leader of the Flaming Groovies. And now we get to the top 3, and at number 3 we have The Reaction and Make Up Your Mind. And this is a 1986 single, and it came out on the Waterloo Sunset label. They were a Bristol-based mod revival band that were keeping the faith well into the 80s. The 12-string lead guitar and harmonica really make it sound like a pleasing mix of the Byrds and 60s Rolling Stones. And at number 2 in the charts, we have the debut single by Davy Jones and the King Bees. And this came out way back in 1964, and it's backed by Louie Louie Go Home. Davy Jones would later have a modicum of success as David Bowie, and the A-side has a fantastic rocking guitar solo. It's very competent UK R&B, and with a mix of Mersey beat as well. The B-side, Louie Louie Go Home, is a cover version of a song by Paul Revere and the Raiders. And David Bowie re-recorded the A-side Liza Jane in 2000 for what was going to be the album Toy, and Toy's just been released in recent weeks. I actually think the original version from '64 edges it for me. And that brings us to the number 1 single in the parallel universe, and it is Lipstick Killers with their one and only single, and it's Hindu Gods of Love coupled with Shakedown USA, and it came out on the Vox label, fantastic American indie label. They're an Australian garage punk band, very influenced by Radio Birdman and the New York Dolls, and it was produced by Dennis Tech, who was an ex-member of Radio Birdman. Hindu God just edges it for me with its guitar imitating sitars, and it's a bona fide classic. In recent years, in the last 2 or 3 years, a double album has been put together of demos and live recordings and these 2 tracks. So if you want to explore further, that may still be available. And I will be back again with the top 10 singles in Parallel Universe 2. So look out for that. Okay, bye for now.